All right, so we're going to do the deep dive now into the AI content. As a starter for that, I'd like you all to, we'll give a chance here once I introduce them. We have with us via Zoom, Aman is going to be joining us from India, and Gabby is going to be joining us from Spain. And they're going to be talking about the IBM sponsorship agreement with the AI working group. So Aman was our first point of contact with the AI working group. He reached out, about a year or so ago and started discussing with us. So he's a global leader for client services excellence, driving delivery and quality transformation towards superior client value delivery, reduced risks, and profitable growth. 25 years of experience in IT, as you can see, covering a lot of different areas, large-scale programs, consulting, quality assurance, agile transformation. You can see the list here if I could move the slides forward. And Aman's been working with us. We took some time to get through the agreements and all the license information and so forth. He's been with IBM for quite some time, as you can see here, and he's currently working in a bunch of different areas, and he has reached to us with IBM's intent to really help us drive the AI working group forward. We talked earlier that we've got over 100 volunteers who've been working both from community developers and through our community review. So when you count those all up, it's 100. IBM is also bringing some of its best experts forward, and so we're going to be getting some more content input from them, and we're looking at doing some adoption papers, white papers, and so forth, and Aman and Gabby are going to help us with that. I think a lot of you are familiar with Gabby. Gabby, as I said earlier, she was a member of the PAG at one time. She's also a member of the CAP, and she has been actively involved there. She's a certified CMMI High Maturity Lead Appraiser, experience in quality management and process improvement, 13 years at the European Software Institute. Gabby joined IBM in 2013, part of the global quality team, and is responsible for the IBM quality management system, as well as leading IBM method strategy, currently focused on infusion of Gen AI assets. So she's got a very strong commitment to excellence across global operations. And if you just talk to Gabby for 2-3 minutes, you can see she's got a lot of information, a lot of knowledge in her head. And we're really happy to have both her and Aman join us today. So this is a little bit about the agreement, but I'm just going to leave that up there. And what I'd like to do is go straight into and ask Aman first, if you would please just give us a few opening remarks and talk a little bit about why IBM wanted to join us on this journey.
Excellent, and thanks, Ron. I hope you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So thanks, Ron, for the invite. I'm glad to join this session remotely, and I promise next time I will be in person there. I'm also excited to be part of this CMMI AI working group, and I do see a great opportunity to work with all of you to infuse AI practices in CMMI model. I mean, IBM being an early market leader in generative AI with decades of AI innovation, we could offer experiential perspective to the group with our scientists and engineers working on the ground through our expertise, methods, and practices that are augmented by AI. So I put together a small team of SMEs and practitioners who are working on the AI projects at IBM for the clients. And going forward, what we intend to do is to collaborate with all of you, participate in various discussions, do the content review and development, share some of the best practices that we have on the ground, and of course, like you said, develop white papers on CMMI AI adoption. Right? So I think it is I'm just more looking forward to a collaborative weeks and months coming forward towards our revised CMMI model.
Great. Thank you, Aman. Gabby, over to you.
Thank you, Ron, and hi, everyone. So I'm sure there will be a lot of familiar faces in the audience, so happy to be here with all of you. So I have been already collaborating with the CMMI AI group, actually since its launch, as part of the group for Focus on Performance. So As said in IBM, I have been leading the infusion of assets and Gen AI into our methods that actually represent our delivery model. So moving forward, I'll also be helping Aman and the team coordinating our internal SMEs from both CMMI side and AI side of the house as part of this collaboration with ISACA and working together with all of you. So the idea will be really focused on the best practices that we can identify on bridging the CMMI model with some practical deployment and adoption of generative AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. All right, folks, we have a few questions for Gabby and Aman, and then we should have time at the end if you guys have any questions for them as well. I'm going to start off on a couple of things I think we're all wondering from an IBM perspective. What are the top 3 items IBM has identified as must-dos for AI adoption? Aman, can we start with you, please?
Great. So I think, all of you know, like IT has become core to all business strategy. AI is becoming core to all IT strategy, right? So there is a need for creating sustained competitive advantage with responsible scaled AI. This means doing the right AI and doing AI right. And this is a key theme at IBM, and we are focusing on 3 key value areas. A, on the individual productivity of our practitioners, right? B, in terms of the process level productivity aimed at transforming and reshaping some of the critical functions. And third is the company level innovation that is core to our business as well as the client business, right? Now, additionally, if I say the must-dos, apart from focusing on these three different value areas, is about obviously the pervasive skill building, right? I mean, skill building at all levels and not just the pockets of excellence. Infusing the AI into the ground up scenarios in the sense that not as an afterthought, but right in your solutions, in your offerings, as part of initiative design. I think the AI incorporated has to be by design and not by chance. And third is about having a robust governance layer so that you know that you are sticking to a secure, ethical, and regulatory use of Gen AI, which is very, very critical for the success of any project.
Gabby, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, just like to elaborate a little bit more on how we have set up or arrive as a framework the strategy. So basically, in a nutshell, we could see IBM has a go-to-market approach, of course, like any other company that to be imagined represented like our services catalog to the community. We have been identifying capabilities, Gen AI capabilities and assistants, agents, assets that are getting infused, as said before, in our delivery models, and everything actually flow to our practitioners as part of the delivery management tool. So it's really like a top-down kind of approach, the way it should be. And also on top of this, there is a mechanism for a closed feedback loop in which you will be looking at the data harvest from the ground to refine and adjust this go-to-market strategy and make sure that in terms of business value and productivity gains, we can understand how much we are achieving, by implementing and deploying Gen AI.
Great, thank you. Let's flip the table on the question, and instead of the must-threes, the top 3s. What is IBM seeing as the top primary risks or gotchas in terms of adopting AI or putting it into an AI team or an IT team? Gabby, let's start with you this time.
Okay, so maybe I'll touch in a couple of items from my perspective. So based on what we have been doing so far, so I think everyone will be, as we speak, right, expecting a lot of progress and a lot of achievements. I think we also should understand that we will not achieve perfection the day after. There will be a lot of continuous experimentation and, of course, under some structure of management, we should be prepared and should be aware about the failure as part of the process. So there should be some tolerance for that as part of a management system as well, and some willingness for us to overcome challenges. Another thing I will touch is that we also understand that the ability to scale Gen AI is everyone's job in the organizations. And our roles, if not yet, they will transform and they will evolve very, very fast as we go focusing on different and higher value tasks from now on. So everything that can be automated will be automated, and will shift probably our focus and the mindset to different sets of activities. So overall, in the skill, talking about skills, we believe there will be a big focus on upskilling and reskilling practitioners in organizations.
Aman, let's hear your perspective on this one.
Yeah, three has been my favorite number, Ron. So I would still talk about some of those threes, and bringing some little bit of technical and financial perspective. See, I think one of the key risk or gotchas that are is about the data debt, right? In terms of struggling with the availability and the quality and the accessibility of data. Similarly, if you talk about the process debt, right, where AI is being used for marginal process gains rather than redesigning the workflows end to end, right? Again, that goes back to my previous thing that it should not be an afterthought, but it should be included in the solution by design, right? And the third is about the technical debt, right? Where we are stuck with the legacy systems, which sometimes slows down the AI innovation and the solution that you can integrate with your legacy systems, right? And then, of course, last but not the least, it is important to consider the financial payback. If you see, two-thirds of the executives believe that AI is important, but only 25% believe that they are getting some payback. So I think there is a huge work to be done in order to ensure that our AI initiatives and solutions for various companies are bringing the right payback, and of course having the right guardrail in place so that we don't step on the exposure to ethical dilemmas or data privacy regulations or the reputational harm. I think some of those things we have to be really care about, because those are the key risks for the organization's survival.
All right, great. So everybody remember that number 3. All right, so can you guys both give us, Aman, we'll start this one off with you, please. What's IBM's experience in regarding how CMMI performance solutions is all about performance? What's IBM's experience in terms of how AI can really improve productivity and performance, and couch it in the, considering what you just said about both the risks and the benefits and so forth? We'd like to hear a little bit more about what are you guys seeing as some of the gains here?
So like I said earlier that, IBM with the decades of experience have developed something called Watson X in our portfolio of IT products that accelerates the impact of generative AI in the core workflows to drive productivity. Now, take for example, increase productivity by easily creating, deploying, and managing AI assistants and agents to automate and simplify business and customer facing processes. Similarly, you can accelerate your developers' productivity and reduce time to market by infusing AI into your entire application lifecycle, right? You can create your custom AI application faster and easier with the AI developers toolkit, right? You can manage, prepare, and integrate your trusted data from anywhere, right? In any format to unlock the AI insight. So I think there are multiple areas where you can drive productivity. And there's another platform that we have released recently. It's called the AI services platform called IBM Consulting Advantage, where a set of asset assistants and agents are available to developers for infusing into their day-to-day work. For example, just a software development lifecycle kit, SDLC kit, right? It could be as simple as that, which is helping them in the use cases development, helping them into test case generation, helping them into code generation, so on and so forth, right? So some of those things are very, very real and kind of giving up to almost up to 50% productivity gains as well. And one of the important example is about how we have implemented in Ask HR, where where the HR team has rolled out this chatbot, which is kind of resolving almost 10 million interactions per year, and this is giving a huge cost benefit to our processes, internal process.
Great. Thank you. Gabby, what would you like to add to that?
So from a delivery practitioner point of view, maybe a few bits from my side. So across the organization, we'll see internally, of course, as everyone probably would be facing at the moment, a big push for everyday usage of some Gen AI capabilities. So overall, the functional areas and the business lines, they will, of course, establish their own roadmaps for developing and deploying Gen AI capabilities for their key use cases. And also the organization will be selecting some of those capabilities or assets for commercialize and of course to sell those along with services for our clients. So Aman touched on the platform that we have and we make available for the practitioners, the Advantage platform. So overall, and Aman was touching on some examples, we would have near 100 packs, the way we call, or collections of those assets that would actually encapsulate several Gen AI capabilities. So we can have simple things like what you call the everyday assistant pack that everyone would deploy and would actually use like in a desktop mode for all the work we do on a daily basis. We can have more refined for life cycle like quality engineering for end-to-end full life cycle test management. We can have for project management and for a hybrid move to cloud and different flavors. So as of today, we have deployed near 100 of those packs and collections, and this is really, really highly appreciated by the developers and the delivery community. And as Aman was saying, we are already collecting benefits from the ground and understanding which is the impact we can make with those Gen AI capabilities.
Great. Thank you. Where does IBM see AI going near term, short term, future wise? Aman?
So in the near term, you may expect more pervasive uses of AI agents and assistants across business processes, including code and supporting. For example, there are a lot of uses happening across the supporting areas, but that's kind of slowly moving into the core business areas as well. You'll also see more advancement in multimodal AI with generation of text, pictures, audios, videos, etc. And you're seeing a lot of innovations coming across photos and videos, etc., across multiple products in the market. And it will also provide you a more personalized experience as well. You can also expect some regulations coming in, ethical standards coming in from various governments. So we have to be cognizant of that as well. Right? So all these things are happening in the near term. In medium to long term, you may see more independent decision making through autonomous agents and human AI collaborations. I would say a lot of job might get redefined with the AI tools, which is already started happening. There'll be probably two class of things, right? The people using AI tools and people not using AI tools, right? And I think that's the reality that's going to hit us in the medium term.
Gabby, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, just to add on this, I think, the way we see and we manage innovation and how it will happen is going to change very soon. So we have, and I think, the availability of skills or new skills, the availability of data. So the ecosystem is changing. And of course, that brings all together and that will have an impact on how organizations would handle innovation and would, of course, partner with others for open innovation. Another thing I would also mention is around partnerships. And this is also something that is extensively leverage by our organization. So today, or the partnerships that we might have today and that would bring benefit to the business, not necessarily would be the partnerships that we want to pursue in the future or we want to retain in the future due to their skills, capabilities, and the way they will position themselves as part of the ecosystem.
Great. All right, we've got one more question for you guys, and then I'm going to go ahead and open up if anyone has questions here. And I keep hearing some themes here: capability, capability, capability. That seems to be right in our wheelhouse, right, with CMMI. What should CMMI and other organizations be doing right now to prepare themselves to make the most out of their AI journey? Gabby, let's start with you this time. Or go ahead, Aman. If you like. Sorry, Gabby, and then Aman.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone is fine.
Yeah. So I'll mention maybe some key or foundational pillars, and I think for Gen AI that would help organizations defining a position. So I think an statement around platform, data, and governance. So we know that successful platforms will unite the right data, the adequate model architectures, the governance, and this will help enabling reliable value creation across, this ecosystem. Gen AI governance is always critical, and in my opinion, we'll need to put governance at the heart of the Gen AI lifecycle.
Great. Aman?
Yeah, so Gabby has talked about data and the governance, around that. I think I would add another, my favorite three is one is about, I think, AI by design. Right? I would say there needs to be a strategy, not a discrete set of AI solutions to be used. And then I would recommend AI by design is very important. Second is invest in AI literacy and invest in data infrastructure so as to have the clean, well-governed data that's the basis for any effective AI. And last but not the least, I can repeat multiple times, ensure guardrails to around security, data privacy, regulatory compliance. That's going to be very critical, seeing multiple governance scenario.
Great. Thank you. All right, we have time for one, maybe two questions. So do we have anyone have a question for Aman or Gabby in the audience? Well, apparently you guys nailed it. No questions. You've given us everything we need to know about AI now, so that's good to go. No, seriously, I picked up some pretty key themes there. Capability, obviously, being one of them. Among your threes, there's clearly a pattern and a theme there. Governance became important. Data, security. Gee, if only we had some of those domains in the model. Oh, wait, we do. So I wanted to say at this point, thank you both. Thank you for the journey so far. Thank you for the journey ahead. Folks, could we give Aman and Gabby a round of applause? And
Thank you very much.
Lastly, thank you for calling in and zooming in so late in your days. We very much appreciate it. We'll look forward to seeing you in person next time. Thank you both.
Thank you very much. And it was great interacting with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.
All right, so now we're going to dive into a little bit about what we see and we've heard and we've gotten from our AI working group. So, by the numbers here, we have had 25 members when we first started the AI working group. For the content that they put together, we bundled it into 5 different packages for community review. We had 60 community reviewers, so you can see we're a pretty high number there. We had 7 internal CMMI content reviewers, 100 different companies involved in the development of this new material. It included 130 punch list items in addition to the AI content. That's what's going into the next release. It came down to about 200 pages of new content for the model. The way I would couch it is it's almost as maybe evolutionary / revolutionary as the CMMI was at the very beginning. It's that rich of content. It's really, really amazing stuff. All 31 practice areas in the model will have new AI content in it. If you look at it, we have a total of 276 practices in the model. Almost half of those will have some sort of AI content built in. We've got a lot of stuff in the context-specific information. There's 14 practices where there's AI incorporated directly into the explanatory material, and 124 context-specific tags or additions spread throughout the model. A few more numbers. This is a record, I believe, for us. It's been a record from two perspectives. 881 total comments from the community review. And this is what I was saying earlier. The numbers flipped. In past, when we did 2.0 next gen, then we went to 2.1, we went to 3.0, et cetera, we got a lot of comments, but most of the comments were, say potato versus potato, say tomato versus tomato, or some formatting or some other changes like that, most of which we accepted. There was about 20% that were really substantial. They substantially changed the content for the better. Flip those numbers this time around. 81% of the comments that we got were substantive, huge improvements to what the content already said. 96% of those were focused on content addition, primarily adding examples, clarifying content, and adding additional context. The content has been through all plagiarism checkers. ISACA has that for all of our content, so we've checked that and verified that. Some of the key themes that we saw, there was a lot of requests for adding information, but the location wasn't appropriate. So we had a lot of people involved in this working group who are not necessarily familiar with CMMI. And so they didn't know the architecture, they hadn't been trained, they hadn't been through the Bach course, et cetera. So we took their comments, but we went ahead and used our architectural rules to put their comments where they belonged and so forth. We also had some of the stuff that we had, I think you've heard me say this before. My predecessor, Rusty Young, drilled this into my head when I took this position, and that is what we call the rule of orthogonality. It's a geometrical term, and it means in geometry that two straight lines intersect themselves only at one point. So one of the things we did in the model is only make the content appear once, unless there is need, because of its importance, or people have a tendency to miss it, to repeat it, but repeat it in a way that adds value. So the model content that we have now with the AI information has got a lot of really good information in it. It's going to be some of the best stuff that we've seen. Like I said, I think it's both evolutionary and revolutionary. In some of the comments we got, there was no change clearly identified. In other cases, people misunderstood a basic CMMI term. And then we had some comments around the glossary and so forth about, well, add this term. Well, we already either had that term in the model that meant something different, or we had it's a common standard English dictionary term, so we don't add that to the glossary, as you all know. So those are some of our key themes. The other ones, sort of summarizing at the top level here, first and foremost, it's a lot of what Aman and Gabby just said, and the working group proved this out. Governance played a critical role in any AI implementation. And what we saw kind of tracks, so Aman has his 3, these are my 3, and this is the team's 3 based on what we heard from the AI working group. There are 3 types of augmentation that AI has a tendency to do, and we've kind of labeled it this way in the model. One is total autonomous augmentation. It means AI does the entire bit of work. There's no human intervention whatsoever. Then there's verified augmentation, where you're implementing AI to perform some sort of governance or other activity with human-in-the-loop intervention. The human is actually verifying that the AI is producing what it should be producing. And the last one is more of a catch-all. It's like the support, and it's where humans are using AI to assist in the management of what they're doing, in this case, governance, identifying key information needs and business objectives. We have that in governance, right? Research, conducting trend analysis, and monitoring compliance with organizational directives. So you'll see when you see the content come out later this summer, you're going to see those 3 themes kind of popping through all of the content that we have. The second set of themes that we saw, senior management has to foster a data-driven culture to address critical AI challenges, such as what you just heard from Aman and Gabby: privacy, breaking down silos, misuse, bias, data quality, and related regulatory requirements. And this includes reinforcing responsible data best practices, like we have in the data domain, and identifying and mitigating data-related risks, like we have in risk management, and communicating the importance of proper data governance in support of AI adoption. And then of a particular importance, emphasizing and prioritizing organizational efforts to address what Aman talked about: data debt, process debt, and technical debt. CMMI has always talked about the last two. The DMM talked about the first one. As you all know, we've took what was in the DMM, incorporated into the CMMI now with 3.0, so they're all there in one place for you. Otherwise, if you don't address these things together, back to what Aman said, a comprehensive strategy, AI just becomes another failed promise. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our crosswalks. So Roman actually suggested this, and we were looking into it. We actually may apply for a patent for our process for doing these crosswalks, because basically the way that it's come through, it's worked really, really well. The AI working group helps us with this all. We looked at 4 standards, as I told you earlier, and the way we approached this is we used industry best practices to do the crosswalks. So NIST has a interim report that's out there that talks about how do you do map from one standard to the other, because sometimes a practice might be a subset, a superset. It may not even address what the other standard does. So we use their nomenclature in these crosswalks to eventually identify, and we have it set up so that each of the 4 crosswalks in this first AI bundle, there are 2 more bundles coming that we have planned in the roadmap: security, which will include things like ISO 27800, 171, CSF, et cetera, and then quality, which will be ISO 9000, AS 9100, and perhaps a couple others. So those will be 3 series of bundles. The first one, the AI bundle, will be released when we release 3.1. And it's basically going to be a handful of documents, a handful of files that go along with this. One of them is going to be the CMMI perspective to the other standards. So I'm going to use 42001 as the example. So 42001 is the management system standard for AI. It's got 8 clauses like almost every other management system standard that ISO produces. They all follow the same nomenclature against the annex. The annex was, for those of you not familiar, it used to be called the Annex SL. It's now called the annex. I'm a member of the ISO tag 176 that worked on the annex and helps to align ISO 9000 as the management system standard approach, and how the numbering and the sequencing of every other management system standard aligns to that same approach. So clause 1 should be the same for all management system standards. Clause 2 is the same, etc. There are 8 clauses in this, and we covered the ones that are most, I'll say, relevant to the CMMI, and one of the files will be CMMI to 42001. There is a mapping of every practice in the CMMI that tracks to every clause in the standard. The second flip side of that one will be the other way around. If you already are looking at ISO 42001, you can use that, and it tracks the clause back to the model. So it is bi-directional. You'll have 2 files to look at. We're also doing a quick start guide. And all of you have a phone of some sort. With your phones, you don't get a manual anymore, right? All you get is this little 2 or 3 pager that says, here's how to start up your phone, here's how to charge your phone, here's how to copy your phone. Sometimes they don't, with the new iPhones, you don't have to do that. You just hold the 2 phones next to each other and it takes care of everything. Our quick start guide is a little bit more than that, but it's going to be how do you use these crosswalks in your organization if you already have CMMI in place and you want to become compliant with 42001, this gives you your roadmap. It gives you the one-to-one, and the quick start guide will give you the ability to do that. And then, as Aman said, they're going to be helping us with doing some of these other white papers on how do I, as an IT shop, implement AI that's compliant with both CMMI and 42001. These documents will help people do that. So this is just a little bit of a screenshot snap of what we have, some of the terminology differences and so forth. Again, we're going to make these slides available to you. I should also say, I have Aman and Gabby's talking points. We are happy to, we'll put those in a PDF and send those to you guys too, so you don't have to remember everything. All their talking points are there. They did a great job for us on that, so we're very appreciative of that. And then this is just an example. This is a screenshot right now of the 42001 and the crosswalk adoption approach. So what we're also going to be doing, the adoption guide, the CMMI main adoption guide, will be updated as part of the 3.1 release. So you'll get the bundle, You'll get the AI of the 4 crosswalks with each of their 2 files. You'll get the quick start guide, and then in the adoption guide, which again is going to be out there for anyone to use, we'll have updates in the adoption guide for how do you adopt CMMI with the AI content in it. So a lot of that information. And this is just a baseline at this point. Our focus is on leveraging the best practices out there and the 4 ISO standards we identified. We talked to some folks at ISO. We talked to a lot of you. We talked to a lot of the CAP folks. These are the 4 standards that came out to the very top of this is what you should do. There are other AI standards out there. We may look at those for future use or for future bundles, but right now that's where we're going. So we've created a core framework for applying CMMI terminology back and forth. It gives you and an organization, the customers you're working with, the baseline to be able to adopt them, and it's bi-directional, so you can go either way. So then, once we prepare, and we showed this all to the PAG, Sam and Pascal were both involved in the work. So the first thing we started hearing was, when are we going to be able to do CMMI for AI appraisals, Ron? Okay, so we weren't ready to talk about that, but we got ready. One of the things we promised you all as a community, we would not make any changes in 2025 to the appraisal process. We're keeping that promise, but what we are doing is launching, hopefully, by the end of the year or before, a pilot program, just like we did with 2.0, 3.0, et cetera, so that organizations who want to become early adopters, learn about this, can actually join into a pilot program, and we're going to take the data from that and learn how do we go into the real launch in 2026 with CMMI for AI. We already have thought about some very practical things like Kim Palastro, who's been our MC today, along with Magic Maverick Steve Mole. I'll tell you about Magic Maverick later over a drink. Kim has been great because we've got an appraisal mark set up right now. This is just a very small practical thing. The appraisal mark is set up and designed in a way right now. It's going to be very easy for us to add CMMI for AI appraisal mark. So there's very few changes we can make almost immediately, fairly moderate lift in CAS. So let me show you what we're going to do here. So first, there's some basic considerations. First of all, we'll require as part of the pilots the content that needs to be in there for AI. You heard Aman say it. If you're a development shop, that would be development, but it would also then include data and security. If you have suppliers, that probably would be in there too. So you know now that under the appraisal process, you get options to be able to talk to your customer and they are able to scope certain things out. For the pilot program, we're going to force some of that so that we learn from that for each of the domains. What we'll do then is we'll put this information together, we'll take and put together the appraisal tool and we'll put a checklist in place like we've done. Think of it similar to the performance report where there will be specific stuff that's AI when you're doing an appraisal that you'll have to look for. Even though it's context specific and it's in the explanatory information, we're going to, for the pilots, require it. This is similar to what we've done before, by the way, right? So you'll choose the domains, we'll do the requirements on the context specific, we'll put that into a checklist, we'll create the appraisal mark, and then we'll start making a few of the updates and so forth to CAS. There's a few fields in CAS that we need to do. But we are going to take what we've coined as our crawl, walk, run approach. And basically, this is going to start off with, and the one on the left, that's a tribute to Rusty. Rusty, we used to call him the sloth when we were working on 2.0. So that's our little tribute to Rusty over there. So we'll have pilot plans in place. The pilot plans will include very clear, specific criteria for what you have to do to be in a pilot. Part of that is giving us the feedback from the pilot. We might have some folks who want to observe part of that appraisal process. All that will be laid out as part of the pilot criteria. We'll look at creating the CMMI for appraisal mark, and we'll start doing some of the minor and moderate CAS updates that we have to do. We've already started on MDD, identifying some of the things we need to do in the MDD. So what we will do is there will probably be a supplement initially for the MDD. So if I'm doing an AI appraisal, I'll have this supplement that I'll be working with. That'll eventually be fully incorporated into the MDD when we're ready to go. But we need to learn the data and learn the lessons that you guys are learning from doing this going forward. So we'll begin to do that and we'll say what's required. So that's going to be taking place Q3, Q4 this year. And then The walk stage will be complete the CAS updates, get those in place for the appraisal marks, again targeting Q1 for 2026. And we'll have by then several of these pilots, we hope, that will be underway. When we did 2.0 the first time around, we had, Kylene and Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, we had something like 15 to 18 companies wanting to sign up for initial pilots. And we didn't take all of them, but we took about 10 or 12 of them, if I remember correctly. So we'll look at those pilots. Again, we'll have criteria and information. There'll be a way to sign up for them and so forth. We have lots of people already asking to sign up. We'll do working with Jeff Terrell and his team to draft quality review and flags approach on the current based on what we learned from the crawl phase. So all the stuff we learned from the pilot will then feed into what Jeff and team will need to look for, flag, and so forth. And then the run is we're going full all in. CMMI appraisals for AI will be available. They will be out there. They'll be published. And we'll start accepting AI appraisals across all the domains with new maturity levels and so forth. Now, we've had folks from the AI working group who've asked us about, well, can we do something like just CMMI for AI and none of the domains and so forth? Are there going to be new domains? Is there going to be a new AI domain? Is there going to be new practice areas with AI in it? All that's going to be learned during these 3 phases. We don't know the answer to that yet. It's possible that that could happen, but we're keeping our promise for 2025, not changing anything for appraisal process. 2026, based on the feedback we get from you all and these pilots, that's going to dictate what we do going forward. And we'll continue to modify and change it as we go. So the last thing I want to leave you with is we're going to go through and send out a survey to you all and to our end use organizations and ask them, this is a draft. So if you guys have better ways of asking these questions, you have other questions you think we should be asking, this is my action item for you all, is when we send these slides out to you, take a look at this. We'd like your feedback on, you're not asking a couple questions here, Ron and team, you should be asking these things. So what are the primary challenges from AI for your customer organizations? These are the end use organizations you're appraising, right? Do you have customers who'd be interested in getting a maturity level for CMMI for AI? Basic question, like, do I want to say I'm CMMI AI maturity level 3? Why would they see having CMMI appraisal marking as a benefit? What expected benefits do they see from this? This is the why. If you think about the golden circle around DevOps and so forth, why is at the heart of the question? We want to know why this would be important to them. What do they see as the benefits? How they use and leverage this and their results? What primary domains do they think would be current use for CMMI? Some cases we heard from some of the working group folks it'd be all 8 domains. And what expectations do you have for AI in terms of helping develop your primary capabilities that you already in place? So those companies that are out there that are doing dev, that are doing services, that are doing supplier, what are they expecting to get out of this for their efforts? Again, draft set of questions. We'd like more feedback if there are others. So we'll go from there. The last couple of things is to give you a talk, and we gave you a little bit of a heads up on this. Heather and team have been hard at work. Lindsay's been helping, Kylene's been helping. We've got a bunch of tech talks out there. They're all out there on YouTube, and we've been working with Michelle Chen in our China office to get them out there on appropriate channels in China as well. We're looking at trying to put them so that we can get them on our website as well. Roman and I were talking about that earlier, so people can get access to them. You are welcome to use these, and we encourage you to use these in your training sessions. If you're doing and delivering BOC, if you're doing ATM training, you want to deep dive anything, these things are valuable. They go into detail on all kinds of things. So you can see the list here. We just sent out a whole bunch. Heather said it a little bit earlier, but we just had about 11 or so push out, and then we've got a bunch more after that. I think we had a total list of something like 51, 60, something like that.
Yeah, we still have, I think, like 23 in the works with our digital innovations team.
Yeah, so
Yeah, we're still working through, and if there's ideas or pain points that you have, please send those my way. Much like our punch list, we keep a running list of those ideas. However, we are a small but mighty team of 4 who are also working on AI content. So we do our best to get these out to you, but we also utilize other departments, such as our digital innovations team. So that's why they all kind of came at once, because they had some free time to. So we have some scripts with them currently. I think like 23 still. So they will be coming. I can't give you an estimated expand that knowledge. As well as you'll see appraisal ones too. So we have a whole section of appraisal roles coming out. So if you're talking to someone like, what does it mean to be an appraisal participant? Send them the video. We have them for ATM. What does it mean to be a sponsor? So if people have questions, utilize these to help you do your business as well.
Right, so there is an additional tool of your toolkit that you already guys have in place when you go in and talk to customers. These things are out there, free, available for use, and they're powerful. I have not heard one single negative comment about the Tech Talks. Quite the opposite. We've heard very, very positive comments across the board about all of them. So, how many of you are familiar that we actually have Tech Talks? Okay, that's encouraging. That's good. All right, and then all of the other resources you see here, this is our standard set. I'm not going to go through these slides. I will let you guys ask us any questions if you have now on the AI content, because this wraps up this portion, and we're going to go into our next slide here in just a few minutes.